Welcome to the Rich in Success podcast, the podcast that aims to define exactly what success is to you and helps you implement this into your daily life. Hosted by Cousins, actor, singer and multiple business owner Matt Hall and ex-rugby player, health, wellbeing and fitness coach Dan Ramsden. Join them on this exciting journey as they unravel the minds of their inspirational guests in a quest of self-discovery. Are you ready to take your life to the next level? If so, this is the podcast for you. Now let today's lesson begin.
Welcome everybody to this episode of Rich in Success. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here in sunny France having the most amazing time, and we've just been treated to a fantastic yoga session on the beach. Does it get any better than that? By the amazing yoga teacher and also hypnotherapist Laura Helm. How are you doing, Laurie?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for that. We did about half an hour yoga session.
I reckon it was more than that.
Probably more.
Yeah, that's what I
And it was just like, I think, especially as we're about to do something like an interview, just to really centre yourself and feel kind of really calm. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I want to go to bed, actually. I'm absolutely knackered. But it was amazing. Thank you. I just wondered, what is it that originally got you into yoga and why yoga?
Why yoga? Well, my history with yoga is quite funny because I really wanted to do yoga from the age of 16, 17, and there was no yoga in England at that time, and especially not in Bradford. But for some reason it came into my peripheral. And then Jerry Halliwell released a DVD when I was at uni and I was 18, and I bought that DVD and I used to do the DVD religiously every night because she had a really good six-pack. I used to do it religiously from then, but then I lost touch with it. It wasn't for a spiritual basis or anything like that. I lost touch with it, and then when I moved to France, I was again starting to look for it. I had more time, and when we moved to this section of France, to Hossega, basically there's a yoga studio on every corner. It's massive here, so
it's a very spiritual feel here, hasn't it? You know, because of all the surfing and everybody seems relaxed and calm and peaceful.
Everybody just seems happy.
Yeah,
like genuinely, we've just been greeted by really positive people that just seems to be really at ease. It's just such a different world to that kind of 9-to-5 grind where everybody's like rushing from A to B, everybody's on social media, you know, it's just such a different lifestyle. How was that adapted to that as well?
First moving to France, I first moved to Perpignan on the other side, and that was a shock from being in England because in France, you know, shops are closed on a Sunday. They have 2 hours off for lunch. You can only eat between certain times, 12 to 2 normally and 7 to 10. So that was a shock, you know, not having everything available 24/7. But then you get used to it. You know, you love that slow lifestyle, and the fact that in France it's all about like family time is super important. They put the family first. It's not really about
food. It's family food. To get together for food, isn't it?
Yeah. And the food's really natural here. Like that's another thing. When I lived in England, it was all oven cooked meals and everything was already prepared. And then when I came to France, I had to learn to cook. So like
bit of a shock to the system.
Buying fresh fruit and vegetables and meats and things instead of buying your ready-made meals. So it was a complete lifestyle thing, but it turned out to be a good one. But it takes a while to adapt. It wasn't something that you could adapt to overnight.
No. So it was Jerry Halliwell.
Yeah.
And then how did that kind of story progress into teaching yoga?
So then I went to my first class here. It was an Ashtanga yoga class with a woman. She was in her late 50s. So Ashtanga yoga, you do the same sequence every time. It's a set routine. It's a very strong physical practice. And at that time I was working out every day at the gym. I was taking yoga to complement my weight training. So is that music going to be putting off? Is that all right?
No, it's all right.
Yeah, just to apologise. We're outdoors.
We're outside.
This is the vibe here. We're all chilled.
You wouldn't believe it were a Monday anyway. Everyone's chilling out, partying, and no one's. So it is what it is. We're outside.
It's not the reality of the
might not be perfect audio, but you know, who cares? We're going to get some juicy content as usual.
This is French music.
French life.
So yeah, and then it was Ashtanga that and as soon as I did my first lesson, I thought, oh, this is what I want to do. Even though I was, say I was excelled at it or anything. And at the end of the class, Ashtanga is a very physical practice as well.
Okay.
So I was like, ooh. But I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. But it took me a while to get into my practice because at first I was too lazy. It took me a very long time to start self-practice. I didn't have the belief in myself that I could do it, that I needed to know all the postures correctly and this, that, and the other. And so I started more with my meditation. My meditation practice started off first, and then through my meditation developed into my own practice, which once I got my clear vision of where I wanted to go in life, then there were no stopping there, and that's when I committed to it.
That's what meditation brings though, isn't it? It helps you align your thoughts and your goals. You don't get caught up in the hustle and bustle of everything. And I mentioned this last night, constantly consuming. So you can get distracted very easily. You don't really know what you want. You just get dragged along. And you've got limited beliefs as well. I used to have massive doing something like this, being on audio, being in front of a camera, things like that, I used to be petrified of it. It was holding me back, being scared of it. So I was very bothered about what other people thought of me and that kind of thing.
How you're more worried about how people perceive you, and to step out and be your true self is, it's a very scary thing to do, but the most empowering thing to do once you finally accept that this is who you are, and this is who I'm going to be, and you can't be anyone but yourself, and that's when you can really start to strive forward. But to go back to consuming, that's another thing about France, is because in England it was very consumer driven, and I was a great consumer. All my wage would go on consuming fashion. I need this, I need to have that. And then I moved to France, and there wasn't the consumer pressure disappeared because there was nothing I wanted to buy. There's no Topshop, so my fashion out the window.
Well, it doesn't matter though, does it?
No. Now. Are
you happier?
Now, I am happier, but it's like I was happy then. I was happy then, and I'm happy now, but I say I'm more aware now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used tools to make myself happy then, whereas now I use different tools. Now I realise that, happiness is something that we all strive for, isn't it? But it's not constant. You have your good times, your bad times, and you've got to just enjoy the ride. I think that's life, isn't it? It's like,
it's the balance. We're gonna get some dark times. You can't get, but you learn from the bruises, don't you?
Under a massive amount of stress, getting the house ready.
The retreat ready.
Yeah.
So what is that? What's the plan? What's the big plan with that?
So the plan is, there's multiple plans. There's plans within plans within plans.
Good. There's always going to be lots of plans.
So I want to open the house up as a yoga school. So we've got 5 bedrooms and a massive garage for the yoga shala. This year we've now got the vegetable garden underway, planting all the seeds so that they can come ripe. And then next year, and we've done the 5 bedrooms. The 5 bedrooms are done this year. September we're finishing the studio, and then hopefully we'll start another phase of work after Christmas time to do the pool, the deck, and all the extra finishing bits so that we can be ready for 2020. Hopefully. I'll go with the flow. It's been put back 1,000 times. So.
But that's something you just talked about before we started filming this. You said it's about having goals but not getting too kind of upset when they don't go exactly to plan, and I think that's really important because things do change, don't they? That is life, and I think that's something people need to think a lot more in those terms, because people can get so upset and angry if it doesn't go exactly how you expected it to go. I think the moment that you start acknowledging this is life, the only thing I can control is how I deal with it. And that's the big difference that a lot of people don't understand, do then. Do you find a lot of that comes through the meditation and that kind of practices that you do around yoga and things like that?
Yeah, well, in yoga we have the yamas and the niyamas, which are like the codes of conduct for life. One of them is to surrender, like to surrender to like the need for control, you know, and to find contentment, santosha, contentment. So, you know, practicing gratitude, you know, is a big part of my practice, and realizing like there's a plan out there for me, and I will.
You don't have to force it.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, because that can just form a bit of extra anxiety when it's like, I have to do this by then. That's you trying to grab it and control it again, isn't it?
Yeah, like non-attachment as well is another thing, you know, another yama. So, and like don't become too attached to the outcomes of things. Like whether something goes really well or really terribly, don't be attached to the outcome. You do it anyway. You do it because it needs to be done.
Yeah.
Like,
and if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
If it is negative, you deal with it.
Everything that's ever happened to me negative in life has been a really good learning experience.
Well, it always is.
And I learn a lot more from negative things than positive things for some reason. Like positive things, I don't give myself the credit for, but with the negative things, I give myself such a hard time that I would really learn from that experience.
Yeah. Do you not find that a lot of people as well, they struggle accepting maybe when they have done something good, they have done something positive, or somebody pays somebody a compliment, you did that really well, and they're like, oh no, I didn't. I think people struggle to receive as well, especially when it's something
feels like
positive
a British
about
thing,
them.
doesn't it?
Yeah,
That
they're
as
like,
well.
I could have done it better, or no, I don't look nice, or thanks, but I don't really. Like, just
thanks, but
just thank you, just say thank you and accept, receive.
Well, receiving is like a massive thing. I don't think that a lot of us realise how much we struggle to receive love, to give ourselves love, and that's
a big one.
The most important thing that we need to all learn is how to love ourselves, you know, fully, and how to receive love, so we can give love without expectation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that I think a lot about, and I always talk about in my yoga practice. I say, you know, ready to receive, that I'm open to receive. Because we don't feel that we deserve it a lot of the time. A lot of people are very, you know, they don't feel worthy, they don't feel good enough to either do what they want in life or to go for the dreams. The dreams seem too big. They don't think they're good enough to do them. So I think it all starts with self-love. Once you start to, you know, love yourself, accept yourself, and see where you can take your life.
What I really enjoyed about that practice that we've just done there on the beach is how you talked us through different emotions. So while we were doing we weren't just following instructions and movements. You were talking us through how we should have been feeling, what we needed to let go of, isolating certain areas, where we should be relaxing, focusing on the breath, you know, and it really helped me zone out. The only thing that I think it's the most present I've been in a long time, because I'm a deep thinker, my head's all over the place all the time, and I was really in tune with what was going on. I could only hear the waves and your voice, and I was connecting with myself, and I was completely present for about the whole time we were doing it. And we're at 45 minutes, something like that. So that were...
It didn't feel that long either.
No, it didn't.
If you think you're just going to sit in uncomfortable positions and breathe for 45 minutes, you'd be like, I'm not doing it for that long. But it didn't, like you say. Do you think, because obviously yoga has been on the rise now, it's become more and more popular, what do you think the main things are people get from yoga, and do you think it's for everyone? Should it be for everyone?
It's definitely for everyone. Okay. Yoga is union, so yoga is to unify with that higher aspect of yourself, that deeper aspect of yourself, which everyone deserves and should do. Like, we only ever see ourselves on a certain level, and there's levels upon levels upon levels, and the more you practice, the longer your practice goes, the more levels you will cover. So
is that about yourself as well?
Yeah.
Not just your body?
Yeah, about yourself, about... well, like, obviously there's different benefits to yoga, isn't there? So there's the physical benefits, then there's the mental benefits, and then you go beyond, like, just the calmness of the mind and the flexibility of the body to to touching upon like more subtle aspects of yourself. For me, when I started yoga, I had like zero body awareness. I could not feel into my body at all. So I felt like a lot that I was starting off, behind everyone else, because especially if there's people who are dancers and they're really in tune with the body and they can move all aspects of the body.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't do much. So just to now be at the point where I feel energy changes within my body, where I can feel energy moving around my body, it's amazing what the practice can do if you commit to it, and if you you've got to practice with consistency, and you've got to commit to your practice. But it's definitely for everyone. It's for people who are disabled, for the elderly. There's something.
I think as well for you saying there that when you started, you really wasn't in tune with your body, and it wasn't, it's not something you did from being young or anything. I think for anybody listening, that's a really positive thing to think you can start it at any age and possibly even, have a career in it. You can be teaching it like you are.
Well, I was 31 or 2 when I started it when I was 20 at uni, did it for a year.
Right.
Left it, and then I was 31, I think, when I'm 37 now, when I started it again.
Do you think, why do some people not take to it? How you say you did it and then you left it. I feel like quite a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
Do you think it's that they're not getting a good teacher, or maybe they're learning it wrong, or they've just not connected it in the right way, and then they sort of have a moment where they feel differently about the movement or something?
I think that when it's your time to find yoga, you find yoga,
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
When you start to, especially if you're looking at it from a spiritual point of view, when you're starting to want to get deeper and look beyond like the materialism of the world, and you've got questions you want to be answered, that's when you start on the path of like self-discovery. I know with my DVD I stopped because it was the same repetitive DVD over and over, and I couldn't find a teacher, and then yoga just was not in my path until I moved here, and I could find it.
Yeah. So you're a very busy woman. You've got obviously a family, you've got the build going on, as well as teaching your lessons. Do you have kind of rituals and certain stress management things in place that you swear by? So is it like a certain amount of sleep you need, your diet, that kind of thing? Is there certain rituals that are non-negotiable for you within the week and within your day?
My diet's quite flexible. Like when my husband's here, I have one diet. When I'm on my own, my husband works here. When I'm on my own, I have a different diet, which is very simple: chickpeas and lentils, curries, things like that.
So is it closer to the vegan, vegetarian when you're fully in control?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel good then. Obviously, when my husband's here, my routine's completely different when I have my routine by myself, so I kind of have like double life going on. But I need to have a good amount of sleep. For me, I need at least 9 hours sleep a night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and when I wake up in the morning, I either do some yoga or meditate or do some visualization.
Straight away, like one of the first things. Yeah. And
when my
taking it, that's before the kids get up.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's madness, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Isabella's been really good. My youngest Isabella's 2, and she's started like sleeping until I wake her up. So I'm like, yeah. Although she wakes up 3 times in the night, so that's not.
That's why you need your sleep.
That's why I need my
sleep.
Why. So I would say starting the day off on like the right mindset, getting clear of how I want to feel for that day.
Yeah.
And before I go to bed on a night, I like to practice yoga. If I'm by myself, and I definitely practice yoga. If Nick's here, then maybe a few times a week I'll practice yoga on a night. But again, just going to bed with just spending a little bit of time feeling a little bit grateful. Finding things in the day to be grateful for. Yeah. To go to bed on the right mindset as well.
So it's being fully aware at all times that you're sort of checking in with yourself, isn't it? And making sure, because I do think with mindset, a lot of people just aren't aware of how they think and that they may be thinking negative about things. It's not until you stop and go, you are in control of your thoughts at the end of the day, aren't you? And I think that's a really good practice if you're starting the day where one of your first priorities is to check in with yourself and get your mindset straight, you're onto a bit of a winner, really, aren't you?
You're not as reactive, I find. What I noticed, just something that happened the other day, we're having a bit of a stressful day, more than usual, and I was just crossing somebody in the street, bit of a road rage type situation. He's shouting out of his window at me for nothing. I wasn't even doing anything wrong. I were in the right lane, everything, and I got a bit angry, like literally like 10 seconds, and I went, whoa. And I actually said it to myself, you got angry. And then I kind of like
just took the mick at yourself.
Well, that's being the observer. Being the observer
got
behind the emotion, because we're not our emotions. Our emotions will run through us, and it's only when we attach to the emotions, like happiness, sadness, grief, all these things, we have to allow to pass through us, because when we attach to them, it's okay when you're high, but when you're low, they can become all consuming.
That's the thing about practicing your mindset. You're more aware of checking in. You're like, oh, hang on a minute, because I noticed that straight away. I was like, whoa, you just got angry. Chill out. And then I did, and then it was gone.
Whereas most people would never think like that.
They'd want to spin the car around and go and follow them.
And then they want to tell everyone else so they can get angry with them and pass the anger on. That's what so many people do.
But it takes practice. It's a practice that's part of the yoga practice as well. But it's also loads of people, mindfulness now is a massive practice on its own, isn't it? But you won't be successful the first. So you say you commit yourself to doing this, like the first 1,000 times you will probably fail, but then gradually it gets easier and easier and easier to become the witness behind, the emotion. Like you get sucked in for a little bit, but then you can pull it back.
Wriggle it out.
So you've got to be disciplined about it.
But then once you find more control like that, you are then, no one can then push your buttons, because you're not giving away your power.
There's one question I wanted to ask Laura, and this is for people that struggle with long distance relationships. So you have a distance relationship with your husband Nick. He's been working away for years now, hasn't he?
And how long have you been married now?
11 years. We've already been together 13.
So 13 years you've been together,
And all that time is pretty much been working away. And do you struggle with that? And what would be your advice to people that, if they're in a similar situation and they find that they're struggling with the distance, what is there any strategies that you can sort of maybe help people that they can understand? Give
us your tips on a successful relationship. I think we all need it. Is what we're saying.
Well, I struggled a lot in the beginning, especially. Like I felt like I wished away a lot of my 20s when he worked away, because I was
wanting him to
come home, not really living when he were away. And then now we're at a different point where he wants to be at home, but we've now got commitments, so trying to get these projects finished so that he can come home. So that's also a strain. But a lot of it just comes down to, I think, being able to let go of the need to control. If you stop trying to control the situation that you're in, like, I think I have to accept. You've got to accept that this is the situation you're in. It's not going to last forever, and you just make the most of all the time that you've got. Like we've just been away camping.
And not be too consumed in, I wonder what they're doing while they're away, and that kind of thing.
That
paranoia,
comes as well.
I guess.
I think that comes as well from being confident in yourself. Like once you find that true, love and appreciation for yourself, then you realise your own worth. And also you have to be confident in yourself, and then you also have to give them the freedom that if they need to make a choice which takes them away from you, then that you have to accept that that's
the right
thing. And you can't live your life in fear of if someone's going to leave you, if someone's going to cheat, because if that's going to happen, it will happen regardless of your fear. But if it's not going to happen, you're going to ruin your actual time together feeling insecure.
And that's the thing, actually, you can force it to happen. It's almost
Yeah,
like that
validate
thing
it,
that's
yeah.
said by, you know, what you think about all the time actually happens. And I think if you're, you know, I know people have been in the situation where especially with Instagram now, everybody's looking at last active when. Well, they were active an hour ago, why didn't I get a reply? Or they must be out with, and you know, if you get so wound up about who are they spending their time with, you know, are they sleeping with somebody else, whatever, and not being confident, you actually can then take that kind of anger or that emotion into the next time you speak to them, and they've not done anything wrong. So then that's when
can be a bit cold.
The problems start happening. So I think you're dead right. I think if you just accept what will be, you know, you're not in control. Like you say, if that's going to happen, it will happen anyway. There's no point worrying and stressing about it. You can only be the best version of yourself. And, you know, and if that's what they want, it'll work out.
And once you start to really value and love yourself, you realise that you're a pretty good person anyway. So even if that person chooses to leave your life, you'll still survive. You know?
And they're not right for you. You deserve better than that.
Yeah. And they messed up. Like, ta-ta then. Yeah. No, it's a good way of looking at it, and it's something that, you know, there are lots of people that have that, and you're obviously, you know, three kids, you know, managing this life abroad. You're away from your family as well. You know, you know, Bradford girl, and then you've come away from all that, and you're living here now. You've been here since what, 2011?
Yeah, in France since 2011.
Yeah,
so you know, you've got the pressure of, you know, making new friends, and you're away from your family, and you've got a distance relationship. Your husband's away, and you're still making it work. So it's credit to you. You know, it's something that people need to learn from, really, because, you know, there's a lot of distance relationships that end up not working.
Any relationship's difficult, even when you're together. I think when you're like two people with your own upbringings, your own
beliefs,
programming that you've had from your parents, from like your childhood, coming together, and then you have your children together as well. So then you've got your influence, they've got theirs, and a lot of the time we act, if we're not acting from a conscious viewpoint, we're acting from our subconscious programming, which you might not even be aware of the behaviour that you're having in the relationship, you know, that you're displaying. So all relationships are super complicated and super difficult, and it's all about finding the ability as well to see when you're in a dispute where they're coming from, why are they coming from this angle, you know, look at it from a higher perspective, so you're getting too involved.
Don't just be too stuck in your own viewpoint.
Because sometimes we can only see our own viewpoint until it gets so bad, and it's not until we've completely dispersed that then we're like, we can have some time to reflect. Meditation's a good thing for that, you know, giving yourself time to reflect.
And come out with things in a peaceful manner.
Yeah.
I think that's what we all want. We all want to have a peaceful life. So if something has angered you or stressed you, or there's something going on, relationships, home life, business, whatever it is, if you take that time out to, how can I get over this? What peace am I going to get from this situation? How am I going to respond in this situation? You just take that time to reset everything. Yeah.
Like you need that time you pause and then you react. You know, because then you might find that your reactions are a little bit different. Also, like when you start doing the self-work and you realise that a lot of your reactions from what they've done wrong is created within yourself. You know, comes from, say for me, for example, like I can be quite explosive sometimes if I feel like I'm being challenged or ridiculed. But then I had like my sister growing up, Carly, was like super a nightmare sister, proper trained me up, and so she would wind me up to the point where I would.
Carly's pretty supercharged, didn't she? At times?
So I would wind me up till I would go psycho,
though.
and like squeeze yogurt pots in my hand and throw yogurts all over. So then now if I ever feel like under attack in any way, I'm like, brah, and I'm like,
oh,
yeah.
But so it's constant work in progress.
Yeah, always is. You know, nobody's perfect.
No.
You just got to know that self-regulation is important, to just stop, think, and then deal with things in a more peaceful manner. I think that's the way forward, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, you've obviously moved your whole life to a different country. If there's anybody listening that's looking to do the same thing or is scared to do it, I'm wondering, what are the biggest challenges you faced and how did you deal with them? And was it worth it?
The biggest challenge for me was probably loneliness. Yeah, loneliness was super challenging, but then that led me to my yoga practice. So that was the path that I needed to take. I mean, it's challenging adapting to the different cultures. As I say, like even with things being closed and stuff, that was when you run out of milk at 9 o'clock at night and there's nowhere open and you've got a screaming child, you never run out of milk. So like just adapting to the different cultures. The language barrier was massive and still is a massive.
Well, you teach your classes in French as well. I mean, that must have been a massive hurdle for you to first start that, because I've taught big group classes. When I first started it, even speaking English were difficult, you know, so you know, doing that in French,
like you have to learn how to direct people. How do I get people's foot to the back of the mat? Like you can't find any of the words in English, then you have to find them in French. But it was my friend actually, because I'd avoided teaching in French. I'd been teaching yoga for a year in English, and I was too scared to teach in French. And just avoided it. And then my friend worked in a restaurant, and she wanted to find something to do yoga brunch on the beach. This was last summer, and I was so scared, and I just did it anyway. I wrote down, I Google translated my whole script of every single posture that I needed to learn, went over and over and over and over, and then just started and then made mistakes, and no one cares. Like everyone's
they'll
just
respect
supportive.
you for it, won't they?
And they'll look at what you're doing, and I think this is a thing in everything in life. Like everyone is, if you look, you know, it can be super supportive if they can see that you're trying and you know you want to help them, and they're open and receptive to it.
Yeah, we our first podcast that we did, the title was Just Start.
Yeah.
Now, when we planned to do it, we were just like, we're not going to overthink it, we're just going to go.
Yeah.
We don't know how it's going to turn out. We've not really done this thing before. Matt's had a bit more experience with that kind of thing than I have. But we're just like, we're just going now, and we're just going to put it out there. And, you know, we'll get better. That's the thing.
That's the thing,
we'll get more
Yeah.
comfortable, there'll be more repetition. We'll get more skills and things like that, and then the journey then it allows you to go. But people don't start. That's the thing. They get scared to start.
You start, you make a mistake, you learn from that mistake, you get better, and the only way you improve is by throwing yourself in the deep end. Like I don't think I've been in my comfort zone for years. Like where the hell is my comfort zone? Going like spending my wage going shopping on a weekend and going out on a weekend. There's no comfort zone. But it's pushed me to grow. And every time Paul Nix had to deal with me having to face like a new challenge, I'd go, I can't do it. It's been like championing me on. And then I do it, I'm like, fine. Then you'll be fine.
Yeah. I can tell, because me and you go back a lot of years, and you're very vibrant, confident, like self-aware, you know, and I think both of us on the spiritual journey that we've been on to where we are now, like we're completely different people, and it's nice to see that you're, you know, solid. You know what I mean? You're like a solid person. Like I don't mean that as in sturdy.
Super solid.
But it's nice to see that, you know, all that adversity, not having a comfort zone. What are you going to do about it? You've grown, and you sat here and you've come through all that, and it's nice to see.
But it's only going to get even more uncomfortable because I've still got really big aspirations. So
what are some of them? What are the big ones?
So I want to teach. What should I say? I'd like to teach festivals. I'd like to teach big events. And you'll add an event in. This is the thing where you've got to be flexible, because I've had lots of things nearly materialise and then just disappear. So don't get too hooked, like drawn into things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to teach festivals if I can. I want to teach big groups. I want to have my own teacher training program where I focus on helping teachers who, because a lot of people who are yoga teachers, we also suffer from like things like anxiety, and we also have like our own traumas that we need to work through, and that's what's led us to yoga in the first place.
Okay.
So to do a yoga teacher training that also addresses that and mix it with my hypnotherapy work, where
That's
we go
amazing.
and we uncover their traumas, connect people more to the higher self, and work on confidence
There's nothing
levels.
more rewarding than that, I guess.
No, yeah. Well, it's like when I used to work in Bradford in an alcohol centre. The Piccadilly project is closed now. Working with alcoholics, and then into a rehab, like doing a community day centre rehab, where they'd come every day for 12 weeks. And seeing people's transformation is so rewarding, and that's where I find my pleasure, is like being a part of people's transformation, and in the same in my own transformation at the same time, challenging myself.
Yeah. And the hypnotherapy, tell us, we're really interested by that. Tell us what does that kind of work entail?
So, well, that covers a lot of things. So, you can use hypnotherapy for most things. I started, when I first started hypnotherapy, was a lot with anxiety, weight loss. I've done a few stop smoking ones. I'm not really too keen on them though. And I've done with all sorts, from sexual problems to relationship problems to people who have issues from their childhood with the parents. Basically, between the ages of 0 to 7, the child is in like a hypnotic state. So everything that happens to them, creates like a programming, a set of beliefs about themselves. So, and it can also happen later on as well, but generally you find between the ages of 0 to 7, and then these incidents then repeat themselves throughout their life. So you might find there's some particular issue that keeps repeating itself in different forms, in loads of different ways, and it could stem back all the way back to your childhood. So I would regress someone back, and we go back to the original point of distortion where this became an issue for them, and we then reframe the issue. We'll have a look at what happened, bring in somebody who can comfort them, or you comfort yourself. You sit in the emotion, because this emotion and this issue has got trapped in the energy body, so that and then you release it out. And then also there's a different part of the hypnotherapy which is suggestion therapy, where we would just work on reprogramming, say you've got neural pathways in the brain. The more they're fired, the stronger this neural pathway gets. So if you've got one that says, either a habit or a thought about yourself that's continuing, then we go in and we address that.
Oh, brilliant. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's really interesting work. It's really interesting. And in general, when I worked in Bradford, we would do cognitive behavioural therapy.
Yeah.
And you would need a lot of sessions, whereas hypnotherapy, it's like 5 sessions, and that's generally 5 sessions, and you've worked through it, you've released it.
So where can we find you, Laura? What are your sites that you're on? What's your business called? When's your retreat going to be ready? All that sort of thing, because we want people to come here and experience what we've just experienced now. Just done a beautiful session out there. It's actually been unbelievable, hasn't it? And how you teach and your practice is amazing. So how can people get involved in that?
So my Instagram is Laura Helm Yoga, and my website is laurahelm.fr, and that's it. Facebook, Level Up Yoga Therapy.
Okay.
But I need to change my name from Yoga Therapy, because I'm registered with the Yoga Alliance, and you can't use the word yoga therapy in your
Right.
name. So Laura Helm Yoga will be what I'm known as.
Right. Okay.
Fab. Well, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Before we go, we always like to ask one final question, and that is, what is your definition of success?
I should have thought that.
Sorry, we should have maybe prepped you on this one.
Okay.
Just kind of what's the first thing that comes into your mind when you think about what it means to be successful?
Success for me, I would say, is like contentment. To be content, and to be free. You know, I don't think success is about money or career, or I think it's about how much love you can give and how much love you can receive. Being content with what you've got. My slogan is "Let love lead the way." Like with every action that you do, let love lead the way with the action.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It's absolutely
Love
perfect. Amazing. Laura, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's Rich in Success episode. If this episode has impacted you, there's a few things we need you to do to help support the show right now. Please spread the word. Tell a friend that you think needs to hear our message and subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher or Google Play. And please give the show a 5-star review. Don't forget to also like our social media pages and tag us on your Instagram stories. Your support means the world. Thanks again, and let's keep growing together.